People like to say a breakdown happens in one moment. Like there's a single scene that breaks you, a single sentence, a single event. For me, it wasn't like that. It wasn't just the breakup. It wasn't just losing my home. It wasn't just losing my job. It wasn't even the day we gathered to remember my father. It was all of it, stacked on top of each other, slowly suffocating me. While I kept pretending I was fine. By the time it finally hit me, everything I loved was already gone. And the day I realized I couldn't outrun my own life anymore was the day I woke up, stared at the ceiling, and whispered, I can't do this anymore. This is how my second life began. If you looked at my life from the outside back then, you probably wouldn't have noticed anything was wrong. I still smiled in photos. I still went out. I still showed up at work. I still played the role of someone who seemed in control. But inside, things were breaking quietly. It started with the relationship. For years, that relationship was my anchor. My home wasn't just a place. It was a life I built with someone. Memories in every corner. Plans hidden in drawers. A future I thought I understood. When it ended, it didn't explode. No dramatic scene. No chaos. Just distance. Detachment. Silence. I remember standing in what used to be our living room, realizing the air felt different, colder, empty. Then came the boxes. There is something painful about packing your own life, taking down photos, folding clothes that still carry memories, deciding what stays, what goes, what no longer belongs to you. Every object felt like a goodbye. The apartment got emptier, and so did I. When I handed back the keys, it wasn't just a door closing. It was a version of me being locked out of its own life. I told myself I'd bounce back, that I was strong, that this kind of thing happens. But life wasn't finished with me yet. The next hit came from a different direction. Work. Losing my job wasn't just about money. It was about identity, structure, purpose. Suddenly, the place where I could pretend I was doing something was gone. No more routine. No more coworkers. No more schedule to hide inside of. Just time. And when you're already broken, time can feel like a weapon. I told people I was figuring things out, but what I really meant was I don't know who I am anymore. And then, when I was already unsteady, came the weight I wasn't ready to face. My father's commemoration. Grief is strange. It hides. It waits. Sometimes it hits you at the funeral, but sometimes it waits until the world is quiet again. For me, the real weight of losing my father didn't land the day he died. It came later, when we gathered to remember him. People talked about him in past tense. He used to. I remember when each sentence felt like a cut. I nodded, thanked people, listened to stories, played the role of the functioning adult. But inside, I felt like I was underwater. By then, I had lost my relationship, my home, my job. And now the reality of losing my father was settling in. Yet if someone asked how I was doing, I still said, I'm fine. When enough pain piles up, you have two choices: feel it or run from it. I ran. I chased noise. People who didn't want to think. Nights that lasted until morning. Rooms filled with music, smoke, bottles, and temporary numbness. Alcohol softened the edges. Drugs blurred the truth. Cigarettes filled the silence between conversations that didn't matter. Nights became my home. Because mornings meant reality. And I didn't want reality. Every night out was another way of saying, I don't want to be alone with myself. Your body remembers what your mind tries to run from: stress, grief, fear. Years of pretending. At some point, the body speaks. Mine screamed. I was at work, pretending everything was fine when my lips went numb. Then my arm, my vision blurred. My head filled with pressure. My heart slammed against my chest like it was trying to escape. This wasn't anxiety. This wasn't panic. This felt like the end. I remember thinking, no, this can't be how I die. And then everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was on the floor. People around me crying, calling my name, trying to keep me awake. They rushed me to the ER. The doctors looked confused, trying to understand how someone my age ended up like this. They told me I was lucky. Lucky. It didn't feel like luck. It felt like a warning. But even then, I didn't stop. You'd think the heart attack would have changed me. But when you've spent years running from yourself, it's hard to stop. I slowed down a little, but the cycle stayed the same. The real breaking point came on my 33rd birthday. It wasn't a celebration, it was destruction wrapped in noise. 20 hours of drinking, 20 hours of distraction, 20 hours of pretending I was fine, surrounded by people, yet completely alone. At some point, the music stopped being music. The lights felt harsh. The room spun in a way that had nothing to do with alcohol. Deep down, I knew I wouldn't survive another night like that. After 2 hours of sleep, I woke up. No noise, no people, no distraction, just silence. Heavy, dense. I stared at the ceiling, the breakup, the boxes, the lost job, my father, the commemoration, the collapse, the pretending, the running, the binge. All of it landed at once. And then I heard myself think, I can't do this anymore. Not quietly, not dramatically, just honestly. It was the most real moment of my life. The next day wasn't a miracle. It was quiet, uncomfortable, different. I didn't go out, didn't call anyone, didn't look for noise. I stayed in the silence I always avoided. I sat with myself, really with myself. It wasn't pleasant, but it was real. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something small inside me shift. Not happiness, not clarity, just the first breath of someone who might finally be done running. That morning didn't fix my life, but it became the line. The moment between the person I had been and the person I was about to become. The collapse ended here. The rebuilding began next. This is where my second life started.